Private George Lawrence Price was a Canadian soldier. He is traditionally recognized as the last soldier of the British Empire to be killed during the First World War. Early life. He was born in Falmouth, Nova Scotia, on December 15, 1892, and raised on Church Street, in what is now Port Williams, Nova Scotia. He lived in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, when he was conscripted on October 15, 1917. He served with A Company of the 28th Battalion, P Canadian Expeditionary Force, November 11, 1918. On November 11, Pte. Price was part of an advance to take the small village of Havre, after a crossing of the Canal du Centre into the town of Ville-sur-Aisne under German machine gun fire. Price and his patrol moved toward a row of houses intent on pursuing the machine gunner who had harassed their crossing of the canal. The patrol had entered the house from which they had thought the shooting had come, but found the Germans had exited through the back door as they entered the front. They then pursued into the house next door and again found it empty. George Price was fatally shot in the chest by a German sniper as he stepped out of the house into the street, against contrary advice from a house occupant at 10:58 a.m. November 11, 1918. He died just 2 minutes before the armistice ceasefire that ended the war came into effect at 11 a.m. Memorials. Price was buried in Havre Old Communal Cemetery, one of the cemeteries subsequently concentrated into the St. Symphorien Military Cemetery, just southeast of Mons. Coincidentally, this is also the final resting place of John Parr and George Edwin Ellison, respectively the first and last British soldiers killed during the Great War. In 1968, on the 50th anniversary of his death and the armistice, surviving members of his company traveled to Ville-sur-Aisne and a memorial plaque was placed onto a wall of a house near the location of his death. The inscription, in English and then in French, reads in English, "To the memory of 256,265 Private George Lawrence Price, 28th Northwest Battalion, 6th Canadian Infantry Brigade, 2nd Canadian Division, killed in action near this spot at 10:58 hours, November 11, 1918, the last Canadian soldier to die on the Western Front in the First World War, erected by his comrades, November 11, 1968. The house has since been torn down, but the plaque has been placed on a brick and stone monument near the site where the house originally stood, and thus still near the place where he fell. The town of Ville-sur-Aisne, Belgium recently renamed their elementary school in memory of Private George Lawrence Price. Canadian Ambassador to Belgium, Dennis Robert, attended the official ceremony to unveil the new name, École George Price, above the entrance to the school. In 1991, the town of Ville-sur-Aisne erected a new footbridge across the adjacent Canal du Centre at 50.4737 degrees north, 4.0662 degrees east, 50.4737, 4.0662. A plebiscite was held, and on the 11th of November of that year the bridge was officially named the George Price Footbridge.